Hello, welcome to Friday's Nuts Today with me, Emma Caldwell. I hope you're well today. Nearly the weekend, we are so close. But before we get there, here's what's on today's show. First, we're going to be looking over a huge decision for Nottingham Forest City ground expansion plans.
You know, we really must make sure that we help them develop as much as we can in the right way. And so I think, you know, it's going to be great for the football club.
And we'll talk more about that in just a moment. Plus, later on, we'll hear all about a new peer-to-peer support group for men in Nottingham. Andy's Man Club is a national project supporting men aged 18 and over and will launch a Nottingham group next week. We'll hear how you can get involved in just a bit. Plus, we'll also hear why some opposition councillors fear meetings at Nottinghamshire County Council might be becoming more undemocratic. It's after questions were blocked at a recent Reform Cabinet meeting, the first of its kind under the new administration, as Nigel Farage's party shakes up operations at County Hall. And we're going to be hearing all about some of those concerns in a bit, and later on we'll also meet the gymnast from right here in Notts who's got her sights set on representing Team GB at the Olympics. It'll all be part of a sports roundup which also features an interview with Sam Slocum after the former Notts goalkeeper took up a role in the club's new management team at Meadow Lane.
I think it's quite a great opportunity for myself. I've literally just been up and speaking with a few of the academy staff up there. Just first time I've seen them since coming in, and they were saying like it's a good position to hold.
We've got all that and loads more coming up just for you. But first, we are sticking with football as we discuss some major news for Nottingham Forest. It's after the club's planned city ground expansion was granted planning permission by councillors for the second time in 3 years. A meeting last night saw the club asking to double the capacity of the Peter Taylor stand to 10,000 seats and for some new apartments to be built nearby too. There were some concerns about traffic though, and after the meeting we caught up with Councillor Andy Edavine, Vice Chair of the Planning Committee, regarding the decision.
Obviously tonight has been really important. It's a massive development for Forest. I think the application has taken a long time coming forward. It's an incredibly, 140 odd pages or more than that actually, an enormous document for us to get through. I think there were some genuine concerns raised by residents and on behalf of residents, because match day parking has always been a bit of an issue, whether it's this side of the river or the other side of the river. And that was one concern. I think as a planning committee, that really was our main concern, was that somehow that traffic transport management plan should actually come into place and be a positive document that encourages good transport and not bad parking. But I think one of our committee members mentioned the fact that, you know, the economic benefit for Forest, obviously Forest's a massive important part of Nottingham as a town, as a city, sorry. And, we really must make sure that we help them develop as much as we can in the right way. And so I think, you know, it's going to be great for the football club. I think for the economy of West Bridgford and Rushcliffe generally, it's going to be great as well.
Well, the meeting saw councillors eventually give consent for the redevelopment, saying that the benefits of the plans were overwhelmingly positive for the area. And joining us now to talk through what happens next for the club is our news editor, Andrew Topping. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So this is obviously massive news for the club. Talk us through what they've been allowed to do.
So overall, Emma, it's a £130 million project. It's part of this major redevelopment that Evangelos Marinakis, the Forest owner, has been dying to do since he bought the club a few years back. So the main aim of this is to kind of redevelop the Peter Taylor stand, as we mentioned a moment ago, take it from a capacity of around 5,000 fans to 10,000 fans, significantly improve the hospitality offer to around 1,200 people as well, to kind of bring in that fanciness of the club, kind of get the club competing on a global scale. So you have to kind of factor in European football's coming back to the City Ground next season in just 2 months' time, I think it is, their first Conference League qualifier match will be taking place at the City Ground. So the club are conscious that they need to kind of upgrade this stadium and redevelop it and get it to a point that it can compete with some of Europe's best clubs. So the aim of this project is to redevelop the Peter Taylor stand, to make it the tallest of the 4 stands at the City Ground now, so it would actually be taller than the Trent End and the Brian Clough stand, and to improve the hospitality offer. But as well as that, this is the part of the plan is to create some apartments next to the stadium as well. So people will have seen next to the stadium there are already some waterside apartments that have been built in previous developments of this part of the of West Bridgford. Now they want to build more apartments next to it. Now, a few years ago when the plans were first given permission, it was 250. This has been scaled down ever so slightly to 169 units. And at the minute, the plans that were approved last night for the specific apartments is just outline permission. So there needs to be more detail about this in the future.
Okay, so the plans have been approved, which of course a lot of people are going to be very excited about, but there were some concerns from councillors, weren't there?
Primarily, yes, around traffic and parking. So if anyone's been around West Bridgford on a match day,
oh yeah,
absolute chaos. Down Radcliffe Road, across Trent Bridge, all the way down London Road, chaos.
Yeah.
The stadium is in a position that's not really fit for where it is, but I don't think many fans would particularly want to see the club leave West Bridgford and move to somewhere else. The idea of Toton was put forward and pushed away straight away because it wasn't what the club needs. Traffic management was a big part of last night's discussion in where these extra 5,000 fans are going to park or how they're going to get to the stadium, because at the end of the day, the West Bridgford area already struggles to cope with the amount of fans that are there. 30,000 to 35,000 fans is a big jump. That's an extra, 25-30% of the fans coming in. It's a massive amount of fans coming in on top of the fans that are already there. And a lot of the streets around the West Bridgford area have told us in the past that they feel like they get blocked in on match days as well. But the overwhelming majority of the councillors last night did say that the benefits of this do outweigh it, and there's not really much more you can do.
And is there any plans for any of the traffic problems, do we know?
Not yet. They're going to need to put forward a more comprehensive traffic management plan that really does get into the nitty-gritty of this, but I think that's going to come at a later date.
So with these plans, it feels funny to be talking about them because I think these plans also got approved a few years ago.
They did, yeah.
Why have we had to do it again?
So the planning process is really complicated. When planning permission is granted, work needs to start within 3 years. Now, the first plans were approved for this. I went to the planning committee meeting on this, July 2022. So we're approaching the 3-year mark now. So when the planning permission was granted, they were told the work must commence within 3 years. So they've just come back to the drawing board and gone, we need to get this forward again. So the actual wording of this last night was kind of that it's got to a point where there's been a significant extended passage of time. So they need to come back and go through this again, and it's all in the interest of sound decision making is what they've said. Let's put it back forward. Let's make sure that the council's still kind of happy with it. There's been a local election since the last planning permission, so it's just getting a new bunch of councillors on the current form of the council to approve it. The general representative that came forward for the club last night said that the club needs to evolve, and it was given unanimous permission by the newer form of Rushcliffe Borough Council.
So now they've got the planning permission again. What happens next?
So its sticking point is still the boat club and the rowing club. So it's anyone seen it? It's right next to the City Ground, right next to the Trent Bridge, and it was required that the club would find a new base for the club before work could even get started, and that is still the case. That was still discussed in last night's meeting. So there is a legal agreement between Forest and the rowing club, the boating club, that a new location will be found before work can even start on the City Ground redevelopment, and that will happen, and the club is in legal agreement with the boating club to do this. It's just they still need to find somewhere for this to happen first. So
is there a teeny tiny chance we could get another 3 years down the line and they still haven't done anything?
Possibly, because I mean, it's not. We've got to that point still with this, where I mean, we were having conversations about this 3 years ago that this could be the case. So maybe it would be, what would that 2028? We could still be having this conversation.
Well, Andrew, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon and keeping us updated on that. Right, in other Notts news now, and a violent knife carrier who was arrested to the ground by police during a street fight has been jailed. Officers saw a group of around 15 men throwing punches around Maid Marian Way last October, including 27-year-old Job Murray, whose disregarded knife was seized by police after he was chased and tackled to the ground. Murray, who's from Ulverston in Derby, was found guilty of attempted wounding with intent and possessing a knife in Nottingham Crown Court last week. He was jailed for 14 years, which also included links to a separate incident in 2022. Next, police are asking for help after an 81-year-old woman was knocked to the ground and robbed around Daybrook. The victim had been walking down an alleyway towards Mansfield Road just after midday on Tuesday when two men on bikes approached her from behind, pushed her to the ground and snatched her bag. It included cash, bank cards and house keys. They say one suspect was white with ginger hair and aged between 18 and 21. The second subject was of the same age and white and could have been wearing Manchester United merchandise. Anyone who can help should call them on 101. Next, and 3 teenage girls have been arrested following an attack at a Nottingham park. The 14-year-old victim needed hospital treatment after being kicked multiple times and dragged across the floor by another group of girls around Abbotsford Drive on the evening of Thursday, June the 19th. Footage of the attack was uploaded onto social media before officers arrested 2 16-year-old girls and a 13-year-old girl on suspicion of actual bodily harm and violent disorder. Nottinghamshire Police say they are taking their investigation, which remains ongoing, very seriously. Next, and officers are asking for help after an act of outraging public indecency at a Notts supermarket. Staff at the Aldi on Nottingham Road in Bingham reported a man following a woman and 2 girls round their shop whilst being engaged in an indecent act at around 7 p.m. on Saturday evening, June the 21st. They've released CCTV images, which will show on your screens in a tick, and say anybody who can help with their investigation should get in touch by calling them on 101. All right, it's time for a short break now, but when we get back, we are going to be hearing all about a new peer support group for men in Notts. Plus, we'll be meeting the young gymnast setting her sights on the Olympics and hearing from former Notts keeper Sam Slocum, who's the new coach at Meadow Lane. All of that's on the way next. Hello, welcome back to Friday's show with me, Emma Caldwell. I hope you're okay today. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's what's happening in Notts today. First, and Nottingham Crown Courts will get long-standing repairs to improve working conditions of victims' experiences of the justice system. A £14 million investment by the government has been pledged for the Canal Street courts, including addressing water leakage, which has caused the closure of several courtrooms. The government says the investment will reduce delays caused by poor infrastructure and improve conditions for barristers, solicitors, judges, jurors and victims who regularly use the court. Next, and opposition councillors fear some Nottinghamshire County Council meetings could become undemocratic after the new Reform administration chose not to answer any questions at a recent meeting. The new administration didn't answer any questions put forward by opposing Tory members at this week's Cabinet meeting, in a move which went against previous traditions prior to Reform's election in May. Reform says the move is because there's an open door policy where councillors can approach them at any time, but opposition members fear this needs to be done in a public setting. Right, Sam, we go from politics to mental health now as we talk all about a new peer support group launching in Notts next week, aimed at bringing together adult men to talk about their mental health. Andy's Man Club is a group that's been running now for 9 years across the country and launches its session on Monday night right here in Notts. It'll be the 300th group set up by the club, and joining us now to tell us all about it is area lead Luke Tetlow-Cross. Luke, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it. So first of all, talk to us about Andy's Man Club. What is it?
So Andy's Man Club is a peer-to-peer support group. We're technically a suicide prevention charity designed to get more men talking. We started back in 2016. There was a young lad called Andy Roberts who took his own life with no signs, no signals, no warnings. He took his own life, like I said, in 2016, and then Luke and Elaine, Andy's brother-in-law, and Andy's mum set up the charity. It started out as a little coffee club in Halifax, and 9 years on, we've got 300 clubs with over 5,800 men attending, and yeah, we just keep growing and growing, and like Nottingham is number 300.
And it sounds like it's an incredibly important place for men to go. Why do you think places like Andy's Man Club are important to be able to access by men around the country?
It's places like Andy's Man Club, and there's other charities out there. Like I was speaking to them this week, Bottled Up Men, places like that, and us. It helps break that stigma. There's such a stigma towards men's mental health right now. Men not willing to open up, not wanting to talk about what's going on, and that's affecting people and making situations worse. Now, Andy's Man Club is a free, non-judgmental club where you can turn up, have a brew, have a biscuit, and just air everything out. And honestly, the stories that I've heard, I've been doing this for nearly 5 years now, and the stories that I've heard, and then the change of people after attending after a few weeks is immense.
And what kind of people are you expecting or hoping to come to Andy's Man Club at the new Nottingham branch on Monday?
Essentially, any man. Basically, any man. It could be, you might be having financial issues, you might be having alcohol and drug, you could be having anything. You could have woken up on Monday morning, stubbed your toe, and that might have set you off for that week. It could be the smallest thing, or it could be the biggest thing. And that's what it is. It doesn't have to be this major thing. You don't have to feel suicidal. You don't have to have some major mental health issue. It could be that small thing that you just want to get off your chest.
And I think one of the things that people will be thinking, if they, we know there will be men watching today, or anybody watching that actually thinks, well, maybe I'll mention that to my partner or my son or whoever. What can you expect when you walk in on that Monday night? Because actually just taking that first step and walking through the doors, what happens at Andy's Man Club?
So I see hundreds of people very similar, where they're pacing up and down the car park, not wanting to go in or worried about what they're going to do. But we got a bunch of facilitators that will help you get through that door, get your brew, get your biscuit, and then open up. Now, with Andy's Man Club, we go through 5 questions. The first question is, how's your week been? Which is a very simple question to answer. How's your week been? Because everybody says it. How's your week been? How's your weekend been? How's your day been? How's your evening been? It's that open question. Question 2 is one positive of your week, which again, very simple. Everybody can find one positive. And then question 3 is anything to get off your chest. Now, people say that's a hard question, but in an Andy's Man Club section, it's quite easy because you've gone through question 1 and question 2. Question 3 becomes easier to answer because you share in front of a load of strangers. And then question 4 and 5 are different each week. They're always thought-provoking, sometimes quite funny, sometimes positive. Well, they always are positive questions, and it's designed to end it on a high, essentially.
So talk to us about the new Nottingham Club on Monday. Where is it? What time is it? How do we find out more?
So we are opening at the Bulwell Academy in Bulwell. And we start, I always say, get there for around about 6:45, so you get your brews and your biscuits, and then we aim to start at 7. Usually finishes around about 9 o'clock. You don't have to book in, you don't have to make a referral, and you don't need to, there's no charges involved. If you want a little bit more information, we're actually going to be at the Tesco at Bulwell as well, but Tesco Extra. So we've got a stall there on Sunday. Come on down, have a chat, and we'll have a bit more information about what goes on as well. So if you want to have that quick chat with us.
Amazing. Luke, thank you so much, and I hope the club goes really well. I think, as you say, it's really important to have these things, and especially in Nottingham as well. Appreciate your time today. All right, time for your sport now, and we will start with Notts County in a new interview with their former goalkeeper Sam Slocum, who's taken up a role as first-team coach within the new setup led by Martin Patterson. The keeper left Meadow Lane as a player at the end of the season, but has taken on a coaching role at the club as they prepare for life under Patterson next year. Speaking with Pie's player, he said it was an exciting time for the fans.
I think it's quite a great opportunity for myself. I've literally just been up and speaking with a few of the academy staff up there. Just first time I've seen them since coming in, and they were saying like it's a good position to hold, which I agree with. And it's probably one of the reasons why it really interested me and why I am here now. It's no surprise that this is kind of the direction I do want to go, and I'm only just starting out that journey. So to get the opportunity to step into first team football as your first opportunity, it was something that was really difficult to turn down.
All right, now it's time to meet a young gymnast from Notts who's just claimed the 2025 XL2 British all-round title. 10-year-old Talia Shannon Gray is a member of the Robin Hood Gymnastics Club in Sherwood and now has her sights set on competing at the 2032 Olympics. Earlier on, Lucy Marshall went along to one of her training sessions so she could see her in action.
So Talia won the national championships for, it was what's called XL2, which is a grade for her age. So basically national championships for 10 years and up. And Talia was a champion.
I had to do floor, beam, bars, range and pull. I like all of them, to be fair. But sometimes I get a bit shaky on beam, but that causes me to concentrate more.
Do your mum and dad help you a lot?
Yeah, my dad helps me and my mum helps me. My mum and dad encourage me, and especially my little brother. My dad is one of my biggest inspirations. My mum, she's so encouraging to me. They paid a lot of money to get me into this. I'm so thankful. If there's something wrong, I would always have a person to talk to, and they're very supportive at competitions.
Apart from your dad, who are your biggest inspirations for gym then?
Simone Biles,
And why is that?
because best gymnast in the world.
What's next then?
The Olympics.
Well, there's a few steps before the Olympics, so we just take each competition at a time. So at the end of the year we do what's called voluntaries, so we do like a levels competition.
This time I haven't got range, but I've got beam, bars, floor and vault.
Next year would be Talia's like last grade, and in which case trying to make the British Championships, and then we go on from there. So that's one of Talia's obviously long goals, so that's why we all start the sport, but at the end of the day few and far between the Olympics, but it's a good dream to have, and we'll take the stepping stones as we get there.
What would you say to someone who might be watching thinking they want to give it a go?
So gymnastics can be for anyone, any age. Just get involved. We go from 0 to adults here, so it's good for fitness, and obviously if you have specific talent you can obviously carry on in women's or men's, but it's good for everybody, so come and give it a go.
Into cricket now, and Notts are back in county championship action this weekend when they take on Somerset. The Green and Golds travel south looking to maintain their position at the top of Division 1. They most recently saw off Yorkshire at Trent Bridge and have lost just 1 out of their opening 8 red ball matches so far this year, having won 4 and drawn the other 3. Somerset, meanwhile, have lost twice and drawn and won 3 matches to start their season. That one starts on Sunday. All right, time for a look at your Friday picture of the day. Thank you so much to Ian Stevens. Look at that, a tiny little Danes fly. And don't forget, you can send across your images and get them shown on the telly by tagging Notts_TV. All right, it's time for your weekend weather forecast, and it's been another warm one today, but it is getting hotter. Highs tonight of 25, lows of 18 overnight. Into Saturday, and it's getting warmer and warmer. Highs of 28 and lows of 17. And those temperatures staying just as high, if not a little bit warmer, on Sunday too. Highs of 29 and lows of 18. But on Monday, the Met Office are saying it could get as high, wait for this, as 34 degrees. Woo! And that is the end of the show and another week on Notts Today. Thank you as always to all our great guests. Our booth is back on Monday for another week. But until then, from everyone here in the team, enjoy your weekend and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.